Okay, let's do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Frank, before we get started, I have a prepared statement I would like to read, if you don't mind.
Frank's got one too.
So did I.
Okay. Well, when we vote, I usually go first.
That's fine, sure. Yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
I got a D, you got an M.
Yep.
So, I've received numerous calls about signs, about fellow board member Mazzella. I would like to go on the record to say I do not know where these signs came from. I do not know who put these signs up. I know I did not, and I want to be clear, these signs are wrong. They do not belong in this town. Whoever put them up is not helping this town move forward at all. People have called to ask what they mean. I don't know what they mean. The only person who can answer that would be Councilman Mazzella if he chooses to do so. That's totally up to him. Also, there has been defacing and removal of signs. We are aware that these signs trigger people and they are not fun to look at. However, they are expensive and they take people a lot of time to put them out. Please refrain from touching, defacing, moving, adding, subtracting, or whatever to signs. It's only a short period of time that we have to live in this room. But if whoever is out there who did anything like this, it's wrong, and I do not condone it. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thank you, Frank, for giving me the moment of privilege. So everyone understands, last week a sign was found at the end of Tinkertown Road that read, "Mazzella convicted embezzler." Let me state for the record that I've never been convicted of embezzlement or any crime. It's defamatory and 100% untrue. Or false information, I will be forced to take legal action. To the cowards who put that sign up, if and when I find out who you are, I will take you for everything you have. Any and all further comments based off of that sign should be pointed to that gentleman standing in the back of the room, Michael Trabick. He is my attorney on the issue. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. We'll start with the oral committee reports. Town clerk.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to start off with the financials for the last month from my office, from August 18th, 2021 to September 13th, 2021. Dog license renewals, we did 42. We got 2 dog enumerations at the last minute, so we took in 173 new dogs, which brought in $590 in fees to the town. We now have 673 dogs registered. Marriage licenses, we did 10. Marriage transcripts, we did 7. We did death transcripts, we did 39. Hunting and fishing, we did 18. Copies, we did 63. And peddler's permits, we did 2. Total monies to the supervisor was $1,255. Total monies to New York State was $4,131.75. The refuse station. The month of August, the refuse station took in $6,752. Total for 2021 was $42,806. We did 10 new handicap renewals. Since my last report, building, planning, zoning, and my office has taken in 8 new FOIL requests, and 4 are still pending. So I'd like to say a few words. I'd just like to say thank you. Last night, the Hometown Heroes Committee had their first unveiling for our honoree, Don Cady, a respected and loved pillar of the community and a great family. What a beautiful event it was. The weather was perfect. There were so many people to thank for coming out to watch. I'd like to thank some people who were there. Supervisor Szynski, Councilman Mazzella, Councilwoman Albrecht. The Marine Aircraft Group 49, based out of Stewart Air National Guard Base, U.S. Marine Color Guard. Iron Horse Chapter of the Nam Knights, MC. Rolling Thunder, MC. Red Knights, MC. Chosen Few Leathernecks, MC. Senator Sue Serino. Director of the Dutchess County Veterans Affairs Office, Adam Roach. Pleasant Valley and Salt Point Fire Companies and their Ladies Auxiliary. Roosevelt Fire Company, the American Legion Post 739 for Pleasant Valley Millbrook, Plumbers and Steamfitters Local 21 Pipe Band, Uncle Mike Hansen from WRWD, and he did the morning show with Jeff Cady and myself to promote our banners for our town. Frank Costello Sr., representing the Warrior Wagon, the great-granddaughter to Corporal John Henry the great-granddaughter to Corporal John Henry Pruitt, Linda Pruitt, and Todd Bender from Mid-Hudson News for covering this story. A special shout-out goes to longtime resident and friend Gary Aber, who did a terrific job as the Master of Ceremonies. I am very proud to be part of such a dedicated committee whose hard work has paid off. Thank you to the committee members, Jeff Cady, who is the chair, Anthony Luciano, Lisa Pfister, and Christy Schroeder. So on August 26, 2021, 11 Marines, 1 sailor, 1 soldier were among the victims in a suicide bombing at Afghanistan's Kabul airport, which also claimed the lives of more than 160 Afghans. In the town clerk's office, there will be a letter for anyone who would like to sign, which will be sent to the 13 military families whose children gave the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. As a town, we would like to show our appreciation and gratitude. Each family will receive a thank you for your service medal from Mr. Frank Costello, who is in the front row. Feel free to come by and sign anytime. This is what the letter says. We are not just signing our names to honor your loved ones. We want you to know we will never forget them or you and all that you have given for the United States for us. We want to thank you, even though that is not enough. We will hold you in our hearts, remember your bravery, dedication, and sacrifice. Thank you with respect and deepest gratitude. Each family will receive this medal. If you'd like to come up after the meeting and look at it, I'd be more than happy to show everybody. Thank you to Frank Costello and the Warrior Wagon. This is the poster of the victims. As a reminder, along with the Dutchess County of Behavioral and Community Health, in partnership with the Dutchess County SPCA and the clerk's office, we are all set for our rabies clinic next Saturday, September 25th, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the town hall. The clinic is open for all dogs, cats, and ferrets and is free to all Dutchess County residents. There will be a $10 fee for all non-residents. Pre-registration is required and microchipping will be available. As I had stated last meeting, the clerk's office, along with the recreation department, is going to have our first flu clinic. We had teamed up with CVS, and we are waiting for our final paperwork. Right now, the clinic will be scheduled for Friday, October 22nd. We have ordered 25 regular shots and 15 high-dose flu shots. We are waiting just for that final confirmation. Once we get it, we will put it out and advertise it. Please remember, when we are united, there is nothing we cannot do. Again, I'd like to say to all the employees of the town of Pleasant Valley, along with my staff, Kathy Miller and Jen Adams, thank you for the amazing job you do every day, and know that you are being recognized. You are an important part of Pleasant Valley team, and we value your dedication to the town. Thank you.
Mary Beth, I just have a couple of questions real quick. When you do the figures for the transfer station,
Yes.
is that the money that's received at Town Hall itself, or
In my office.
in your
Yes.
office only?
So that includes all the tickets that are sold within the month and the loads that people bring up to the compactor.
So it also includes the money from the compactor itself?
Yes.
So what they collect? Okay,
So
thank you.
all the refuse money comes through the clerk's office.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't have any foils today. Is there any foils on your desk?
No, I said about the foils.
How many did you do? I didn't get that number.
We did 8 foils, and 4 are still pending.
8 foils, 4 still pending. And one-page documents, I would imagine, go faster than the multi-page ones, right?
Depending on what the request is.
Okay.
Some have to be through Paul Ackerman.
Some have to be through Paul Ackerman. Okay.
Yes.
So I have to wait till he gets here to ask him a question about a foil, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Boulder?
Yes. Greg Molnar, CPL. I was asked to just come here tonight and just kind of give a brief update on the water system evaluation that's been ongoing in the town. Just to go back a little bit, Delaware Engineering prepared a map plan and report in February 2020, which was then submitted to the state for review and approval. That report was paid for under an engineering services grant to the town, and the engineering report was accepted by the Department of Health in early 2021. So that engineering report has been accepted. The engineering report basically laid out a couple of different options, but the one that was recommended in there was to have a storage tank in the town of Pleasant Valley and the booster pump at the town line. One of the things that was not really laid out cleanly or clearly in the report, that storage tank was proposed to be 140 feet tall, sitting up behind the Acme Plaza. So I think it would have been somewhat of an eyesore. Since that time, the Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority commissioned a intermunicipal tank study waiting either a 1 or a 5 million gallon storage tank. The primary issues that the county is looking at with that is water age. So they want to be careful because the longer that water sits in a tank, there is the potential for chlorinated byproducts. So they want to stay away from that. That is a health department or a health concern. So that is something that they're looking at there as far as water age. That tank would be shared by the town of Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County Water and Wastewater needs, and also the town of Pleasant Valley. We had given them the approximate needs of the town of Pleasant Valley associated with this report. The town Pleasant Valley hasn't paid anything for this evaluation. It's being funded again through Dutchess County Water Wastewater Authority. I believe they got some funding that came through the county, but I'm not sure exactly that source of that funding. I just wanted to kind of point out a couple of the benefits to the town of Pleasant Valley for participating in this joint water study is one, that the prorated cost of a portion of a storage tank would be much cheaper than the town building its own storage tank on its own piece of property. So it makes, financially, it makes more sense to have that there. The location of that tank will allow the majority of the water system that's been designed to float off of that storage tank. And by bringing a 12-inch line down Route 44, it would still provide for fire flow in the hamlet area. So that's something I know that the fire department's been concerned about as far as fire flow. So that tank would still be able to serve that need. The only two places that would need some small booster pump stations is up on Gleason Boulevard and Kovac. I can't remember if it's Lane or Road. Lane. So those two are higher elevations. They would need a small booster pump station to serve those higher elevations. The other thing is I said that they are looking at water age as one of their primary concerns. And if the town of Pleasant Valley were to build a storage tank here in the town of Pleasant Valley, you would not only be dealing with the water age of the water in the storage tanks in Poughkeepsie, but then you're adding age to the water because it would then come into the town of Pleasant Valley and be stored. So having it in Poughkeepsie reduces that water age in the town of Pleasant Valley. And then finally, I mentioned the tank that would be needed to provide that elevation would be 100 to 140 foot tall. And I think that would be somewhat of an eyesore to be right here in the middle of the hamlet. But that's not for me to say, but I said it. Anyway, sorry. But so I think those are the three advantages or to having that there. I don't know if you want me to go into, the map plan report went into costs that were laid out. It was about it was a $10 million project with $3 million in grants, so a total of about $7 million in financing. The benefit assessment to each resident was estimated at $514 plus $289 for water usage, so estimated about $800 per household annually for the water service to the various residents. That covers pretty much most of the report, and then also the update on the water system evaluation.
What's the next step in this process?
Well, the next step, so the map plan report has been accepted by the state. So the next step would be for the town to consider how they would want to form the district. Is it going to be formed based on a permissive or based on a referendum vote? A permissive referendum, which means the town board would take action and then allow for signatures if people want to petition against that. I'm not an attorney. Paul Ackern can probably answer this, but I believe that on the referendum, it's only voted on by the people that would be in the district, because the people in the district are the only ones who would be paying for the water district itself. So no one else in the town would be paying for that. And so those are kind of the, and then once that decision is made, then it's either going to go to a permissive referendum or it would be acted upon, and then you would move forward.
Beginning of 2020 or just before. So everything has completely changed and skyrocketed. Have they updated any of those figures?
Mary, I can't hear you at all.
I can't
I'm
either.
down here.
What I asked him was, we had been given a figure of $10,000, or 10 million. Oh, I wish it was 10,000.
10,000 I take.
$10 million, but that was back 2 years or more ago, and the issue to me is that everything has changed so dramatically. I'm just wondering if they're updating those figures.
There has been no update to those figures. The figures that I read were the figures in the report. That would be the next step, is to update those figures if the town, because then the map plan report would have to be modified, but the figures would need to be updated to make sure, because once you create the district and define the funding to be expended, you're limited to that funding. So
Yeah.
you would want to have those figures updated.
Greg, some of the questions that were raised was where that tank should go. And you pointed out that it would be an eyesore in town. However, someone else pointed out that the water pressure wouldn't be as strong all the way into Poughkeepsie as it would be if it was closer in here into the town. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Well, I did just a quick evaluation. So to get 1,000 gallons per minute of fire flow into the town through a 12-inch main, the tank that's there in the town of Poughkeepsie, the back of the Acme Plaza here is about 275. The tank in the town of Poughkeepsie is at about 395, 380 to 395. So it's quite a bit higher, which is what I was saying about having to have a elevated storage tank. it would not be an issue with relation to that 1,000 gallon per minute fire flow.
Okay. And was there any input to how, you mentioned 514 per resident, how much input it would have to have their insurance lowered for the fact that they actually have water to the fire hydrants?
That is because, as I understand, in working with the town of LaGrange, with their fire department, is that it has as much to do with the fire department's response time, and the response time goes into the factor anyways, it goes into the factor for insurance reductions. So it has as much to do with that as it does. Obviously, a water supply is a benefit to fire protection, but I don't know to what extent that impacts insurance, because it's an overall rating, if that makes sense.
Okay.
What I'm saying.
2 questions. I've talked to people from the fire department, and they keep saying that 12 inches is not big enough. Can you
larger than 12 inch if that's the demand?
Okay.
I was mainly looking at the residential and
Right. I gotcha. Okay. And then, well, you really kind of answered my second question with the first one, so thank you.
but that's something that's easy enough to do a quick calculation to see what that head loss would be in the
Yeah.
line. If that's 2,500 gallons per minute, I can send an email back out to the town board of what that calculation
That'd be
would
great if you could. Thanks.
Once you started talking about the figures, I remembered some figures from back then. And I was to the understanding that per $100,000 assessment, it would be approximately $340 per $100,000 assessment. But you're saying $514 based on like what type of assessment?
The debt that they used to calculate that was based on, the 514 was based on an assessed value of $200,000. So
Getting older. Thank you. Is this on? Do I get a press? Okay. Don Sagliano, Legislative District 2. Just to follow up on some of the items that Greg Bolner spoke to, the grant for the shared water service between the town of Poughkeepsie and the town of Pleasant Valley was a municipal investment grant that the county awarded in 2019. It was under the town of Poughkeepsie, so it doesn't show as being under the town of Pleasant Valley, but so that's where that funding is coming from. Sorry. So we had our meeting last night. It's a little scary with the microphone in my face, excuse me. We had our monthly board meeting last night. We had our committee day last Thursday. One of the items that we discussed or put up for discussion for next month was a local law was laid on the desk regarding online ordering of food and delivery services. What's occurred is we've gotten numerous complaints, over 150, of restaurants where an online ordering service was assuming their menu, advertising it, taking orders, and then charging customers $5 and $6 more than what the actual menu would have been. So, for instance, at the Daily Planet, they have a $10.95 hamburger, cheeseburger, deluxe, whatever it is. This online service was charging $16.95, and it really wasn't fair to the consumer. So this is a local law that we've moved forward. It will be on discussion for next month, but it will be managed by the Department of Health and Community Service. In addition to that, we had many people show up at our meeting last night. It was actually a great meeting. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to participate in the Hometown Heroes. I saw it. Congratulations to anybody involved. Again, Mr. Katie, I stopped by to see him today, but it was a great event in the town. So there's an issue in Dutchess County regarding mental health beds for youth, and there's been an issue for several years. So we had many people come to the legislature to discuss what the county can do and how the county can work with the hospitals, New Vance, Health Quest, and/or Mid-Hudson St. Francis. Part of the issue is that New York State is refusing to issue permits because it's a care facility. The New York State Department of Health in Albany is the one that issues the permits. So we had to we listened to very many people. Times these youth are sent to Somers, Katona, or even up to the Adirondacks. And it's a really big hardship for the family in order for them to attend to their children's needs. So just something that we should all be concerned about and think about. In addition, on Thursday we had a report and presentation from the Dutchess County Human Rights Commission. Jody Miller is the executive director. She's been the director for since the recreation of it 4 years ago. They have a very popular item that they've done. It went virtual over COVID, but it's called 100 Cups of Coffee. We've actually had 2 of them within our own legislative chambers where we break all the barriers down and we speak to all of our fellow legislators. It's been very helpful. And that shoestring small budgeted entity with 13 very dedicated volunteer board members are really doing a great job. The last thing I wanted to mention is that the county historically has held 2 e-waste disposals for hazardous waste, old computers, liquids, etc. We established a 3rd one for this year. Unfortunately, the sign-up period was filled up within 3 days. So we had to transfer money from fund balance, $25,000, to cover the additional expenditures of that. We did that last night, and the Resource Recovery Agency is looking into if we could have 1 more this year, and we've already asked them that preferential should be given for people to sign up that haven't been able to participate in the first 3 this year. Valley, such as Rockland County, they have on-site availability all the time. Our facility does not allow for it, so we have to hire outside agency, third party, to come in and manage the situation. I just wanted to remind everybody that there is the Learn, Learn, Play, and Create grant. There's still money available. The key thing is that it cannot be associated with the municipality per se. All these entities and not-for-profits need to have their own EIN. However, they can partner. Some across the county, some have partnered with, such as the Rotary or the Lions Club, to be able to do something. There is monies available. Those monies will be available through the end of the year. So if there's any consideration, or if anybody has any ideas, there's a website on Dutchess County Planning, or please feel free to reach out to me and I could help direct that. In addition to that, there is a municipal grant program in place at the county. It used to be known as a shared services grant. That changed in 2020. The name was changed to Municipal Investment Grant Program. Due to COVID, there was no awards giving last year in 2020, but recently in 2021, the county is offering or has awarded over $2 million in grants. Now, unfortunately, Pleasant Valley wasn't able to submit any projects, but that's not to say that in 2022 there will not be a project. In fact, in the first quarter of 2022, grant applications will be accepted, but it has to require a fully vetted project with detailed financial information, such as Engineer Greg Bolner was speaking to. As you all know, this water project has been around for several years. Now they're going to have to go back and add up the new construction costs and the cost of implementation. But as soon as that's available, and as soon as a benefit assessment district is created, then the town will be able to apply for any grants under that program. And the last thing I wanted to speak to is that under the municipal investment grants in 2020, like I said, there was no competitive MIG program. In 2019, there was there was a $50,000 award for town hall accessibility for the new building. That, unfortunately, during COVID, the monies were recaptured by the county because the contract had worn out. But if the town does, in fact, make a move towards utilizing that building, we absolutely can try to resurrect that grant with updated paperwork. In addition, prior to that, there was also a grant for $51,000 for infield mix and the permanent synthetic marking, which was basically to help Little League and soccer with the lining of the fields. That, again, also, due to COVID, ended up being recaptured by the county. That is something that still also can be possibly resurrected in 2022 when a new window opens up through Dutchess County Planning.
If I'm not mistaken, that was recaptured because nobody bid. We actually bid it end of last year, I think. Yeah, no, we couldn't find anybody bid the project.
From on that particular grant, $9,000 was expended out of it.
We bought a lot of infield mix between us and Milan.
I know.
Yeah, nobody wanted to install.
Nobody wanted to do it. It's a great idea because it was going to be a shared services. Yeah.
Tom, what was the name of that grant again?
At the time, it was called, it's called the Municipal Investment Grant, the MIG grant. I believe the acronym was also MIG. I think it was Infrastructure Grant. It was primarily for shared services. 6 or 8 years ago, Governor Cuomo put together an initiative to reduce local villages and towns and wanted to get shared services, uniting of co-partnering on grants and other items. So it was all kind of part of that within a shared service thing, but it's kind of morphed over the last few years. So, yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Climate Smart Community.
Hi. Do I have to state my name or anything like that? I'm Sandra Larkin, and I'm part of the Climate Smart community.
Can you pull that down to you? You can pull it, yes.
Really?
She don't want to close.
I don't want to close it. Anyway, yes, the Climate Smart community. We were off to a slow start because of COVID, but we did try to have meetings mainly outside, 6 feet apart, with our mask on. And we actually were able to accumulate roughly 112 points, possibly, of 120 to advance to the bronze stage, which would give us more opportunities to get grants, especially those given by the DEC. We do this by completing actions and submitting all the information we gather. One of the actions requires that we create a community engagement and education plan, which we did, which we gave to you guys. And it also requires that the town is supporting us in this plan, which is the resolution that I also gave you guys. So that's why I'm here. Is there any questions? That was easy.
Pretty
That was
easy.
easy. I'm done.
Not at this time. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, the Building Fees Committee.
Hi, I'm Phil Apicino. I'm on the Building Fee Committee along with Nancy Harris, Scott Cookingham, Rich Chapman, and Mike Reifenberg. The committee was formed by the town on July 21st. We had our first meeting on July 28th. At that meeting, we had the data collected from 18 surrounding towns, and Mike helped us. We put this together. Mike had this typed up for us, and it was a sheet that we would just fill in each category based on the information from the surrounding towns. We divided out the 18 towns amongst the file to look up the data and fill up the sheets. Once that was complete, Mike put all the information on a spreadsheet. We had meetings, discussions, and we came up with what we felt was the average of surrounding towns based on their most current prices. Some each row and how it's laid out.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, we tried to keep it as simple as we could for you guys. There's a lot of data on there. Just to give you an idea, these guys, we all worked so hard on this, all 5 of us, and it really shows you when all of us come together what we can accomplish. But this is just a little bit of the broken down data once it kind of got organized. Phil literally had a stack about this tall of paper that the 5 of us had to go through. We all went through it, analyzed it, then I put it into a spreadsheet, then we took that and did everything. Just to explain this really quick, the far left column is obviously the fee. If the fee's not on here, basically the committee's recommending that you leave it where it is, so don't reduce it or increase it or whatever. We only try to keep it as simple as possible, so if the fee's on here, we're recommending some sort of change. The next column over is the old fees, so that's where we were before the resolution to increase the fees. So that will give you an idea of kind of where we were beforehand. The next column is the current fees, that's where we currently are at. And then the recommended fee is what we are obviously recommending for you guys to adopt or at least take a look at. Now, one thing to point out on there, you might notice that it might look a little strange to you, or it might, what we did is there was a lot of administrative fees plus the permit fee And we thought as a group that it might have been a little confusing or just added more stress that didn't need to happen. So these fees include administrative fees, non-refundable fees. So instead of paying 3 different fees to do the same thing, it would all be included in this one price. And we kind of put notes in there to remind you guys of that. And then to the right, if it has a check mark, that means an escrow is currently required by the town. Just so you have an idea that there's more money on top of this fee that the town's collecting for professionals and stuff like that. One last thing, I know the 5 of us talked about it. One of the big parts of these fees is the escrow that the town requires. We talked about like sign permits, for example. The code kind of puts a system in place of how sign applications are supposed to be handled. And if you read through it, it kind of explains that it's supposed to go just before the zoning administrator, and they're kind of supposed to work everything out before coming before the planning board. Right now, we require an escrow and all this stuff. So the 5 of us would like to ask you guys if there's any potential way that you guys can keep us on as a committee. We think it's important to maybe reevaluate the escrows and what we're requiring, because it is a huge chunk of money, and we really don't know, and we're kind of including in our stuff here if we're actually in line with what other towns are doing. Did you want to talk about the electrical and stuff like that?
And then some of the, I mean, myself doing electrical, there were, fees for different inspections. You have your building inspector come out, and sometimes the building inspector will do the plumbing inspection, but there's a separate electrical inspector that is certified by the town, or the town allows certain people to come, like Z3 and other companies there to do electrical inspection. So to nail them again for another electrical fee when we're not even doing it wasn't fair. So, I mean, that's some of the things like Mike was just stating, is trying to break down and see about the escrow, whether it's really needed. Such a big escrow is, it doesn't need to go to the lawyer and it doesn't need to go to the engineer. Then why is somebody putting up $1,000 to $1,500 when they're trying to just get something small built, So, as you'll be able to see, there's definitely a lot of difference in pricing in that, but we all work great together, but we still think there's, more to get done to it. So we'd like to try to keep, that going if possible.
Well, let me ask a question while you're there.
In front of you is a good idea. I think if you want us to do the, the assessment that we've done for the escrow fees, if we can pull it together in a month, if within this 1 month, I can't imagine there'd be that many being paid, But if we bring it to you next month and you adopt that, and someone maybe did put in $1,500, and it then would be $1,000, they could be reimbursed. But I don't think we're talking a lot of applications at that point.
Okay.
And just one quick thing, with adopting these, we just want to, one thing we noticed is a lot of the forms that have been adopted since Gary took over have these updated fees on them. So one of the things you guys have to figure out with the office is if you do adopt these, they have to know that they have to go through, because there's a lot of fees hidden on a lot of different forms. So it's not just as just adopting and making it happen. We're talking probably
So we still have time.
Yeah, 20 different forms or so.
In other words, if we say, yay, let's do this tonight, it can't happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paperwork's got to be updated.
Yeah, the forms would have to be updated, and we'd be glad to work with the building department and go over the forms and help them out, and it shouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. The other thing I'd like to say is Rich wanted to be here, Rich Chapman, but he's home with taking care of his child, which is good. I want to thank Jen and Mary Beth and the Cole Clerk's office for helping us with all the copies, and also Courtney, Chris Ann, and Sarah Davis. They helped us clarifying some questions we had on different items. You know, we just needed some clarity so we could review and figure out what some stuff a little cloudy on what it meant. But anyway, thank you very much.
Phil, one more point. I'm just going to point it out. I don't know if it's a typo or if it's something that has a big increase. If you go down to Town Board Zoning Change Request, the old fees, it says $250. Current fees, $2,500. And then you drop it down. If that's a typo, fine. If not, why the great big increase there?
Well, it was based on the surrounding other towns and what they're charging.
So we were behind.
Everything we have on these sheets is based on the average of the 18 towns that we looked at.
Yeah, so basically before we increased it, we were way behind what other towns were charging for that. So now we had increased it to 2,500, 1,500 puts us in line with all the other towns.
Right, because I was just going through all of them, and it looked like you took almost an average for the most part, and it fell in between. This one certainly did a jump.
Yeah.
Were we that far behind in that category?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Like I say, these are only suggestions. You can look at it, and if you feel it's a little bit too much, you can back it off. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
I'd really like to thank the five of you for all the hard work and the obviously many hours that you put into this. And I'd like to thank Phil Apicino. We had several conversations along the way. He explained a lot of things to me, and he kept me up to speed. Thank you so very much, folks, for all the hard work.
Okay. Open the meeting to the public. Motion?
I will make a motion to open the meeting to the public for agenda items only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Don't all jump at.
Nobody wants to talk about anything.
What's on the agenda? Well, right here, Frank. Whole. The new business? Yeah, yeah.
It's on the agenda.
Just a few notes about the reports. I know, John, you mentioned the...
You got to state your name.
Oh, Scott Larson, 74 Ring Road. The fire insurance rating, I know I belong to another fire department, and there is a lot that goes into that, and one of them also includes the age of the equipment. And I think it's somewhere around, if it's over 20 years old, your rating goes down, but it's a number rating from like 1 to 7, and depending on where you are. And if I don't know if they break it up into districts also. So where the water district, if you had fire hydrants, your rating would be better. But say out in Salt Point, your rating would stay the same because you don't have the fire hydrants. So there is a lot that goes into the insurance on that. Might be opening a can of worms, but with the town water, it might be a good thing to look into town sewer also. Don't know if that's possible or not, but it opens up another can of worms, but brings more infrastructure into the town, and which brings more tax money and more time to spend for parks and other things. The building permit fees, the change in escrow, I don't see it being an issue later on, because it is an escrow. You put it in to see if they spend it. I mean, technically, if they don't spend it, you're supposed to get the money back anyway, so I don't see with that being an issue with passing the building permit fees and then changing the escrow amounts later. I think doesn't make a difference.
Right.
That's it. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Scott.
Michael Snell, North Avenue. This will be the highway street sweeper we rented this year. Did a horrible job comparison to years past. We've had a tremendous amount of gravel all along the sidewalk on North Avenue. They came by and it didn't pick up anything. So I would recommend looking into getting a different piece of equipment that can handle the gravel that we get built up.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Pass that along to John Baxter.
I'm not anything on the agenda that I want to talk about. I don't know who's responsible for bringing Sarah Davis on board, but I do want to say that I've worked with her for over 30 years. You couldn't have done any better. She's sharp, she's on top of things, and I think you're going to be really happy. So whoever was responsible for that, good job.
Frank, I don't know if this is under new business or not. Can I bring something up? Podium?
Sure.
I can do this in 3 minutes. I'd like to give you a little bit of insight of what the Warrior Wagon program is. It started right here in Pleasant Valley. Sometime around 2010, I got a request from some of the members of a committee that was running a parade in town, wanted to know if I'd bring my 6-horse hitch down with the big brewery wagon and take some of the politicians on it. And I said, hell no. I said, I'm not taking any politicians. And I thought for a while, and I'm not against politicians per se, but I thought for a while, I said, you know, wouldn't it be nice if we took some of Pleasant Valley's finest, previous service members, present service members on the wagon? And they did. They arranged, I told them I could fit 10 on the back. We set up at Traver Road School. 6 of them were able to get up the ladder and climb in the wagon. So it's a big brewery wagon like Budweiser has. I built it in 1987. And we had 4 of them we couldn't get on. So I called up the rescue squad. I said, look, don't turn the sirens on. Don't make a big deal of it, but I need help. And I told them I needed help getting some people on the wagon and afterwards getting them off the wagon. We did the parade, and that following evening I came up with a brainstorm. It bothered me that these people couldn't get on there. So I'm thinking, I'm going to build a purpose wagon. And I built the Warrior Wagon based on having a wheelchair lift, stairs that are accessible for people that are somewhat handicapped. And the first time we used it was in 2014 at the World Pertron Show up in Springfield, Mass. We had 700 competitors up there. It's a world show for the Pertron horses, which I've raised and trained most of my adult life. And since then, we've done about 650 veterans. We've done about 50 different events. Primarily, I've funded this mostly myself. I'm not a and I enjoy some of the stuff that we've gotten from the veterans, the feedback, and how much they say thank you. Now, I'm going to fast forward to several months ago. I got an email from Gary Veeder. I guess Gary gets involved somehow in running some of the parades or whatnot. I don't know how he's involved. I've been friends with Gary for quite a while. And I belong to the Agricultural Society. Now I've got to find it. I belong to the Agricultural Society, and Gary's a member, and quite honestly, we talk, and we've been on committees together quite successfully. Several months ago, he said, will you bring the Warrior Wagon? By Mark Copolozzi. I don't know if I pronounced his name right. Mark, Sergeant Major, retired from the Air Force. He was, I think, second or third in command over at Stewart. And I've done events with Mark in the past and really like working with him. They ran a beautiful event over there. Unfortunately, it was on 9/11. A lot of things were going on, and I didn't have a big turnout. For Heroes, which is a veterans organization that's, I think it's up in Columbia County. They're building a farm and barracks and so forth to try to help some of these people with PTSD. Fast forward about a week or so ago, I emailed Gary and I said, hey, I haven't heard from anybody. Normally, the people who are running the parade, Mary Beth in particular, has always been wonderful getting back to me. We have a little criteria we need to meet. We have to have a place to set up that's safe. People don't get underfoot with the horses. And when we're done with the parade, we like to reposition the trailer so that we could load the horses, get them so they're not underfoot for people, and then that uncertainty over having the veterans, it's best to forego your entry in this year's parade. I am very sorry that Mary Beth took so long letting you know. Thank you for your time, Gary. Now, I already knew that Mary Beth didn't have anything to do with this, but I didn't know who did. I don't know who that email came from. And I would just like to let the town board know and the town supervisor know that I find this in great disdain, disrespecting our veterans and our military in this manner and trying to blame it on Mary Beth. That's unacceptable. And with that, I'll take any questions.
I think I can actually address it because the topic actually was brought up last night. We have Mr. O'Hanlon, who submitted his big truck, and he's filling it with veterans as well. I can tell you now that I didn't hear anything about the Warrior Wagon until last night. All right, I worked with the folks who are on the committee putting the parade and the bicentennial together. So I think that there's not a problem with it being in the parade. I think it's just a matter of they need veterans to be.
Well, my problem is not with it being in the parade. There's preparation and there's staff that I have to get together. When I went over this with my staff, I have volunteers. Everything's volunteer with what we do. I went over it with them. When we got done with our event last Saturday, I read this to the staff, and everybody agreed. Pack it up, put it away. They don't want us. So it's put away. It's a done issue for us. But I just would like to bring it up to the town. I don't know who's running the parade. I have no idea. If you put the person in front of me right now, I wouldn't know who they were. But I just find it very disheartening. I can't tell you how many parades I've done in Pleasant Valley with my horses. And I think people really have enjoyed it over the years. And I've enjoyed doing it. I love this community. I find great distaste in bringing politics into some of this stuff that's going on. And I don't think it should happen. I don't think we should have it in our community. We're one people. We're Americans. And let's not forget it. And with that, I'll excuse myself. If you have any questions, anybody wants to talk to me afterwards, I'd be more than pleased. Okay?
We'll address it after.
All right.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
We're going to call that a presentation, Frank, not comments, okay?
Anyone else for comments for agenda items?
How you doing? Dan McRitchie, Pleasant Valley Agency. Just wanted to give a little insight on the water, with what it'll do for the insurance. About 15 years ago, we had the protection class in Pleasant Valley lowered from protection class 9/10 to a 5AB. With the water, it may bring it down to a 4, which is not a great difference for anyone, so it's not going to be a big selling point for anyone for insurance savings.
We had, last night seeing Mr. Albrecht, and, then when he came up here talking about the mill and putting putting the pump in there for our dry hydrants, we had no water to the dry hydrants. They were asking for the town to look into fixing up and putting a little insulation and stuff like that. And the, Pleasant Valley Fire Department already put away $500,000 for that project. So I'm just curious where it's gone since they nicely. We haven't heard anything. I was just wondering how that was going.
We should be getting one more price, which hopefully then we can move forward. So.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Kathy Kruger, Rawls Road. I'd like to address you. I'm extremely sorry. My husband actually is very much involved in the parade. Keith O'Hanlon had called us a while ago and asked us, he told us that he was going to drive loosey-goosey, correct, with about 8 to 10 vets in there. There is nothing political about what we're doing with the parade whatsoever. Our understanding was, I'm sorry, Gary Veeder never got an email to my husband or sent anything to him about the war wagon whatever months ago that you might have talked to him. What happened was we became aware of the war wagon just a matter of a few days ago, and we were told that we were supposed to find 8 to 10 warriors to be on the war wagon. I don't know if you have any idea how much work we're putting involved in Bicentennial, but all of a sudden to come up with 8 to 10 veterans, we were just kind of surprised because we would have thought that that was already in place. We also heard too that Uncle Mike, and my God, I can't remember his last time, he said something about...
Hanson.
Oh, yeah, all right. He said he might have dropped the ball because initially he thought he told somebody the Pleasant Valley weekend was September 25th. And so he was wrong on the dates there. So there's been some misunderstanding from, obviously, for a while. This has nothing to do with politics at all. We've already got, we had a horse, we've got the veterans, and we thought we were in good shape.
All I wanted to do is, mistakes have been made that we should look at for the future. And I'm not looking for apologies or sympathy. If I had to, I'm sure I could find more than 10 veterans in Pleasant Valley.
Okay, but I mean, that's just not something that we're able to do right at this point in time. We have come, there's been problem after problem, not to mention a hurricane and a flood over in Katy Field to get ready for the bicentennial event, and we're still dealing with problems. And so this is not something that we could just find 10 or 12 veterans at the last minute to. Like I said, we just heard about this within the last few days, is basically.
I don't know who Gary was corresponding
Okay, yeah, but I love Gary, and we've been working with Gary, and he's never mentioned the Warrior Wagon to us until, I mean, he wasn't even at our meeting last night, so I'm not sure where he is right now. He might be out of town. Yeah, so that's what it is too. So he's not involved with even corresponding to my husband in the last few days too, as when he heard about it. So I'm sorry. We can talk. Just give us a call. Okay.
Anyone else? Hearing none, I move to close the meeting to the public.
Hold on one second. I still have an issue that I'd like to finish up before we. Huh?
You want to close the meeting to the public first?
Yeah, sure. I just want to.
Yeah. Before we get going, you can talk. You can ask your question. But I make a motion. We close the meeting to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Akin, before you got here, I was going to ask a question as to why I could not get a FOIL request taken care of. And I believe the town clerk was going to yield to you as to why I cannot get a copy. It's about the Ethics Committee's findings on a complaint. I believe Mr. Mazzella has a copy already, and I've not been given that. I had to FOIL it. Why can I not have that? And I believe it was going to be thrown into your lap.
So the question is, with regard to the FOIL request for that decision?
Correct.
So the Town of Pleasant Valley Ethics Code is clear as to decisions and determinations of the Ethics Committee are not to be made public, other than for narrow exceptions, one being for in compliance with FOIL, one is for subpoena, and one is for a court order, or there's another exemption if it needs to be used in a disciplinary action. So the question is whether or not the determination is subject to FOIL. There is a number of written opinions in court cases which state that decisions that are unfounded did not lead to disciplinary action, or there was no determination, are not subject to FOIL under the protection of invasion of privacy. So there is an exemption under FOIL that would not allow that to be made public, or let me say the town could withhold that because of that. That does not mean that the town can't on its own release that document. It's just saying that FOIL would prevent that. So that determination will have to be made. I will speak to the town clerk about that soon, and a response to your FOIL request will be issued in the next day or so.
Next day or so?
Yes.
So I can expect it another day or so?
Yes.
Thank you.
Let me say, you can expect a decision in the next day or so.
Okay, so here's my question again.
Yes.
So why does one party get the information while the other one does not?
So the town code specifically states that the person that was the subject of the complaint has the right to a copy of the determination, and also has the right to determine whether or not that determination is released to the public. That's specifically listed in the town code.
And I was not afforded that right when I was thrown into the newspaper. I still don't understand this.
I have no comment on that.
Okay. All right. So I get it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Let's proceed with the agenda, new business. Resolution number 1900, 2021, amending the 2021 highway fund budget. Whereas the town board, Town of Pleasant Valley, has expenditures and revenue for the 2021 adopted budget line items that will adjust the amounts in such budget lines. And whereas the highway supervisor finds it necessary to amend the 2021 adopted budget to meet these adjustment and resolve the town empowers and directs the town supervisor to amend the 2021 adopted budget as follows. Appropriation account number DA.5110.483, Sealer and Stone increased $2,500. Account DA.5130.200, equipment decreased $2,500.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution number 9101, 2021, amending the 2021 general fund budget. Whereas the town board of Town of Pleasant Valley has an expenditure and revenue for the 2021 adopted budget line items that will adjust the amounts in such budget lines, and whereas the bookkeeper finds it necessary to amend the 2021 adopted budget to meet these adjustments, resolve the town board, the Town of Pleasant Valley hereby authorizes, empowers, and directs the supervisor to amend the 2021 adopted budget as follows. A.2555.000, planning administration fees increase $13,000. Account number A.7110.416, landscaping grass cutting for the cemetery, increase expense $5,800. Account number A.1320.400, accounting and budgeting, increase $5,000. A.6410.400, publicity, increase $200. A.1355.200, assessor equipment, increase $2,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution number 9102, 2021, authorizing bookkeeper to establish a separate bank account and town clerk to accept money for the purpose and maintenance of banners for the Hometown Heroes project. Whereas the town of Pleasant Valley desires to participate in the Hometown Heroes project, and whereas the mission of the project is to place banners honoring veterans, either living or dead, who have served in any branch of the United States Armed Forces, and whereas the project allows families to honor their loved one by sponsoring a banner to be displayed on utility poles throughout the community at a cost of $200 per banner. And whereas the money for the banners will be collected by the town clerk and deposited in a separate bank account set up by the bookkeeper for the sole purpose of purchasing and maintenance of the sponsored banners, now therefore be it resolved, the town board of Town of Pleasant Valley hereby authorizes the town clerk to collect $200 from each person who wishes to sponsor a banner for the Hometown Heroes project. And further be it resolved that the town board hereby further authorizes the bookkeeper to establish a new bank account for the money collected by the town clerk for the purpose and maintenance of the banners.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Nope.
All in favor? Aye. Resolution number 9103, 2021, supporting the Dutchess County Land Conservancy in their submission of a farmland protection implementation grants program, round 18 application for financial assistance in purchasing the development rights of the Hahn Farm property. Whereas the New York State Department of Agriculture and Market has released a request for applications to their statewide farmland protection implementation grants program, round 18, and whereas the Dutchess County Land Conservancy wishes to submit an application for financial assistance in purchasing the development rights of the Hahn Farm property, which lies entirely within the town of Pleasant Valley, and whereas in order to submit an application to the Department of Agriculture and Markets requires a letter of endorsement from the municipality in which the proposed project is located, and the Dutchess Land Conservancy has requested a letter of support from the town of Pleasant Valley. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Pleasant Valley hereby supports the Dutchess Land Conservancy submitting a farmland protection implementation grants program round 18 application to the New York State Department of Agricultural and Agriculture and Markets for financial assistance in purchasing development rights of the Han Farm property, and be it further resolved, the town supervisor is hereby authorized to submit a letter of support and endorsement of Dutchess Land Conservancy application to the Department of Agricultural and Markets Farmland Protection Implementation Grants Program for the financial assistance in purchasing the town of Pleasant Valley encourages the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets to award the Dutchess County Land Conservancy funding for their project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution Number 9104, 2021, authorizing a payment of abstract number 9 of 2021. Whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley Town Board has audited the bills presented by the town clerk and an abstract has been compiled, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board hereby authorizes the supervisor to pay all claims as follows. Abstract 9 of 2021, General Fund claims, $64,213.09. Abstract number 9 of 2021, Highway Fund claims, $22,683.31. Abstract number 9 of 2021, Ambulance, $13,420. Abstract number 9, $3,983.68. Abstract number 9, Capital Project 0.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstract number 9105 of 2021, authorizing payment of abstract number 9P of 2021. Whereas the Town Board of Pleasant Valley has audited the bills presented for a consultant escrow fees specified in Town Code 82-15, 98-91 by the town clerk, and an abstract has been compiled. Now therefore resolved, the Town Board authorized the town supervisor to pay all claims as follows. Abstract 9 of 2021, planning and escrow accounts, planning and escrow, $454.50.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town, you can read this one.
Okay, fine.
Here you go.
Creation.
Get tired.
Creation of Assistant Recreation Director position, resolution number 9106. Whereas Dutchess County Department of Human Resources has effective September 3rd, 2021, approved the new position duties statement filed by the Town of Pleasant Valley to create a competitive class position for the Assistant Rec Director. And whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley Town Board wishes to formally create the position of the Assistant Rec Director. Now therefore, the Town of Pleasant Valley hereby approves the creation of the position of Assistant Rec Director in the competitive class, and be it further resolved that the Town Supervisor is authorized to execute any documentation necessary to effect the action taken by this resolution. I will make a motion.
Second.
Discussion. I don't remember discussing, I know it says the Town of Pleasant Valley wishes to formally create, you know.
We talked about it in executive session.
Yeah.
You're right. I did remember that now. That was, okay, never mind. I'm just like.
There's been a motion made and seconded.
Okay, aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's right.
Resolution number 9107, appointment of Assistant Rec Director. Whereas the Dutchess County specified for the Town of Pleasant Valley a competitive class position of Assistant Rec Director effective September 3rd, 2021. And whereas by resolution of the same date, the Town Board of the Town of Pleasant Valley approved the creation of the position of Recreation Assistant Director. And whereas Dutchess County does not have a certified list of candidates for the position of Assistant Rec Director. And whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley wishes to provisionally appoint Danielle Town of Pleasant Valley appoints Danielle Salowitz on a provisional basis to the position of full-time Assistant Rec Director at the pay rate of $17 an hour up to 35 hours per week and subject to a probationary period per the Dutchess County Rules of Classified Civil Service, and be it further resolved, the town supervisor is authorized to execute any documentation necessary to effect the actions approved by this resolution. And I will make a motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Might as well keep
I'll
going.
keep going. All right, resolution number 9108, support the authorization for the establishment and undertakings of a Climate Smart Task Force Community Education and Engagement Plan, CEEP. Whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley Climate Task Force wishes to establish a community education and engagement plan, and whereas the goal of CEEP will be to build a common understanding from baseline to deepened understanding of the scope of climate issues and the need for actions, policies, programs, and activities to conserve, reduce, save energy and money, and promote sustainability. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Pleasant Valley supports and authorizes the establishment and undertakings of the PV's Climate Smart Task Force Community Education and Engagement Plan. I make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Who's going to be on this committee?
I think it's the same people that are on the current committee.
Okay.
It's just we're
Same ones we
authorizing
have,
or
right?
acknowledging their plan.
Okay. Okay.
Any other all in favor?
Aye.
I would think we would want that in the resolution.
Well, no, it's just we're just authorizing the plan. She
Discussion of the recreation seat.
Oh, yeah, so we do have a vacancy. We did, I think, Corey submitted his resignation from the Recreation Committee. We did have interest from our soccer director.
Two letters.
Oh, you have 2 letters.
Yes, 2 letters.
Oh, I didn't see the other. Who was the other?
Jan Adams and
Ah.
Tracy Santiago.
There also, well, let's take this one step further real quick, because there was talk with the Recreation Committee about having me as a town board member, not necessarily on the committee, but just a liaison to the committee. So, I mean, I guess I could submit a letter of resignation and just be the liaison, so we would have the 2 vacancies. So, let's put this off to next month, because we might be able to fix that between now and then.
Okay.
All right?
So you want to table it?
Yeah, motion to table, well, it's just for discussion, so,
okay.
yeah.
All right, number,
Yeah.
this is the ad hoc committee.
Yeah,
for
so
what?
let's talk about this real quick. John, you and I were supposed to meet with some people last year, and then you were ill for a couple months. At the end of every calendar year, if I'm not mistaken, Paul, any ad hoc
Can we take the 6 that would have?
Can we?
I have the 6 letters.
You have, so Paul, do we have to re-advertise because it's a new committee for this year?
No.
Okay.
You make one.
So we want to just pick from those?
There's no need to re-advertise.
Let's pick from those 6.
Yeah, okay. So, should we remake the motion though to recreate this committee?
Yes, you would need to recreate the committee.
Okay, so,
Or you can just reestablish it, you can just do it by.
Yeah, I'll just make a motion that we reestablish the ad hoc committee from the July 18th event that happened in this town.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's it.
That was it, okay.
Hold on. I just got to, I really have to wrap my head around how we're setting these up. We had all agreed how the agenda should work. And now what we just did was we called
Flip the
a
page.
bunch of resolutions. Huh?
Are you sure to open the meeting again?
Yeah.
It's on the next page.
Oh, where's
It's on the
it?
next page.
So sorry.
So sorry, okay.
So sorry. I thought it was 1 page. I'm
I will
sorry.
make a motion to open the meeting to the public.
This is for really new business. Anything?
New business only.
New.
3 minutes.
We need a second, though.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
My name is Jim Murray. I live at 1600 Salt Point Turnpike. I'm here tonight to talk to you guys about bringing up the coming up with the funds needed to do a traffic study along Salt Point Turnpike, especially between Tanner Drive and Netherwood, where it's a 55-mile-an-hour zone. I took some time Saturday and went and spoke to some of my neighbors and collected some signatures, and everybody I spoke to is in agreement that 55 along that road is ridiculous. Now, we know if we can get this, we know what the process is, we know that the municipality has to do the studies, and then the state can probably might turn us down, okay? We have to try, though. Somebody's gonna get hurt on that road, and lowering it even to 45 isn't going to stop people from doing 55, 60, but it might stop them from doing 75 and 80. And it might stop the drag racing that goes on out there. And I know there's, well, Frank, what was the number? It was like $15,000 to do a study?
Approximately.
Approximately. I know that's not small change, okay? But I can tell you right now, you can pay for it by having the sheriff sit in my driveway. He'll write tickets all day long. I had 14 conversations on Saturday morning, and not one of them was not interrupted by somebody speeding down that road. Okay? And this part of this road goes right out to where Han Farm is, and they've got a small parking lot out there. People are trying to turn around and southbound. And I can't tell you how many times I pulled out of my driveway and had somebody right behind me before I can even get up to speed. Okay? I've watched a woman take out a deer in front of my house, no brakes, no nothing, because she came over the hill, didn't see it, just smashed it. Totaled her car. Everybody I spoke to had stories about cars being in ditches, accidents on the road, like I said, the drag racing. So I'm here to request that, you know, we do the study and then take it to the state. And Frank and I talked a little bit, and I'm like a dog with a bone with this. If we do this study, I will help go fight the state myself. And because it's ridiculous. Somebody's gonna get hurt, and so.
It's Jim Murray?
Murray, M-U-R. Any questions for me?
Just a suggestion. Recently, on my own road, I had a resident suggest we have a suggestion sign or two. I know it might not be nothing at this point, but it might help until we finally get some state answers. I don't think it's really helped all that much. It has to some degree, but we still get people flying down the road and same thing.
Superintendent can install those yellow signs.
Now, enforcement is more the issue than anything else.
Correct.
Maybe we need some police presence up there. I know Gretna Road is a speedway.
So the state has, one of the things I requested from the state when I originally took on this project, if you will, was that they put a hidden driveway sign, because I didn't even have that. And they have come in and done that. They came in and did their studies and looked at where my driveway was, and just north of me, they put in a hidden driveway sign.
And who
So
did that?
The
I'm sorry,
state,
the state did?
yeah, the
Okay.
DOT.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
So, I mean, they've already come and looked at some of it, so they have some information on what's going on that road, on that stretch of road, so.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Carol Campbell, 122 Marshall. Thank you to the Hometown Heroes. That event last night was fantastic. Thank you to everybody that worked on it. I want to talk about one of the things that I've been since November 5th of 2020, when Mr. Beck, who was the former zoning administrator, decided to issue a memo that stated there'll be no further expenditures or investigations related to complaints on file concerning Peckham about noise, nuisance, damage to buildings or water levels, in Wells. I have a copy if you need your memory refreshed. The current town board and the staff they have hired, I believe, are complicit by not making Peckham operate until the hours stated in their special use permit, which states the hours of operations at 7 a.m. to 3:30 Monday through Friday. By refusing to do so, they've opened the town up to a possible lawsuit. We elected you to enforce the town laws. I think that we should be enforcing the town zoning laws. Changes to the senior dump ticket in the resolution. It was changed from 50% to 25%. I watched you all debate the issue, but it wasn't included in the resolution. It was actually brought to my attention.
If I remember correctly, the resolution that we read at the meeting stated that the copy of that was annexed here too, and it was stapled to that copy.
But it wasn't in the resolution. I mean, in other words,
What I'm saying is it was like an appendix to the resolution was what I read that day.
okay.
What I'm saying is that I don't think that that is the proper version of that resolution.
So you're saying the resolution that I have isn't the proper one?
I don't remember, honestly, Carol, I remember
Yeah.
reading it saying that it was annexed
I
here
bring
too.
it up
I'm not-
because I bring it up because it was brought up to me
No, I understand.
by a
It would-
resident
me too.
who decided to go a double hit. So I just bring it up. The third thing I'd like to say is, where's the discussion on the new town hall? Any bid on the new town hall? It should be number one on the agenda, considering the flooding, Katie Field, that we had with Hurricane Ida. Things seem to fall off the agenda. Where's Camp New Teaming? I don't see anything about the board discussing that. What happened to the new bathrooms at Helen Aldridge? You know, these are things that the board talks about, but they seem to fall off the agenda. I'd like to see the board have an agenda, which is what I'm used to seeing by being a professional minute taker, where you have old business and new business, and the old business stays on the agenda so that people know, you know, what needs to be taken care of. Thank you for your time.
Laura Straley, O'Halloran Circle. On August 23rd, I went to the town hall and spoke with the supervisor. I asked about my 7 FOIL requests. I was told that I had to go through the town lawyer. I asked, does everybody who sends in FOIL requests have to go through the town lawyer? He told me no, just me and my husband. I want to know why. Why is it that my husband and I are being discriminated against? Why is it that our FOIL requests have to go through the town lawyer? Why is it when I asked him about it, he asked me, did you call the lawyer? It's not my job to call the town lawyer. It's your job. You know why it's your job? Because you told me that he works for you. You work for the residents. Why is it that Greg and I are the only 2 tax-paying residents in this town that have to go through the lawyer? I have stood up here month after month respectfully and asked about these FOIL requests. I have called respectfully and asked, where are they? You treat me with no respect. You treat my husband with no respect because you chose to discriminate against my husband and me by making us go through the town lawyer. You told me numerous times in your office, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a lawyer. You're right, you're not a lawyer. And you sure as hell are no supervisor.
Mr. Supervisor? Can I just, one quick comment on that? So with regard to the issue that has been raised by Mr. and Mrs. Straley, on numerous occasions, there's been discussions and threats of litigation against the town with regard to ongoing issues. You've made it clear for some time now that you were speaking and intended to speak with an attorney, which is your right to do, and it's also the right of the town and the town supervisor and the town board to consult their lawyer. You know, I disagree with your statement that you're being treated unfairly. I think
Wait a minute, hold on.
I think it's a matter of pending litigation, and they have the right to consult their attorney. That's all I
Why
have
did
to
we
say.
go to an attorney? Why?
I didn't say that. I said you've made it clear that you seek legal advice, and they have the right to seek
You're
legal
right.
advice also.
And we did, because he sat there and he told me personally to my face that we are the only two in this town that have to go through you. Why is it that I pay my taxes just like everybody in this room, but I have to go through you? Why? Nobody up here can answer that. And everybody that's sitting up here, you all knew about this, right? You all knew that Greg and I are the only two residents in this town that pay our taxes that have to go through the town lawyer, right? And nobody stood up to the supervisor and the lawyer. Nobody. None of you have any right being on that side of the table. You should all be sitting on this side of the table with the rest of us. Because if you can't stand up to the town supervisor, how are you going to stand up for the people sitting in this room? Good thing the bell rung, because I wasn't done yet.
Michael Snell, North Avenue. There was a friend of a friend, I guess over the weekend, was riding past the quarry and hit some gravel and crashed his motorcycle. It's an ongoing issue, and I'm not trying to blame anyone. We know what the cause is. I was just thinking maybe we could do our social responsibility and get some signage that, you know, sand, gravel in the road ahead, just to let people know, give them a chance when they're coming up to that area, that they should slow down and use caution, maybe some extra lighting. It's, you know, signs don't cost very much money, and it might save a life one day. I'd also like to say on the water tower issue, and so the location changed for that, and over at Rettle Park, we were talking about putting up a possible cell phone tower. It was going to be on top of the water tower. Now there's not going to be a water tower there. Cell phone tower there would be great for us. We have terrible reception in Pleasant Valley, and maybe we could arrange something with the company to maybe do a dog park there or something. I think the terrain's kind of too hilly for a regular park, but dogs and hills are fine. So, thank you.
What's your name again? Sorry, I couldn't hear it when you first
Michael,
started.
I didn't catch your last name.
Michael Snell, North Avenue.
Michael Snell?
Snell, S-N-E-L-L.
Snell, thank you.
Oh, S&E. I thought he said snow.
Mike McRitchie, Smith Road. Councilman Mazzella, do you have a copy of the Ethics Committee's findings against Mr. Del Vecchio?
I was sent a copy, yes.
Would you be willing to release that and share it with the?
I was actually, it says that it's confidential.
So that would be a no.
It says in the letter that I can't give it out.
So you won't release them tonight, obviously?
I can't.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, gosh, this is a tough one for me. This is not easy. I thought long and hard about what I'm about to say, and I don't get any pleasure in this. I don't like confrontation, but everyone has their breaking point. Mine was, in August, I was in New Orleans visiting my family and meeting my new grandchild. And at that time, I got a call from the Department of Environmental Conservation, Police Department. I have been the victim of anonymous complaints that were lodged against me with 2 Pleasant Valley building inspectors and the DEC. The complaint started in August of last year, and the latest complaint was August of this year. Previous was August of 2020. The complaints to the DEC range from dumping dirty fill, dumping C&D, filling in wetlands, and having no silt fence in place. Similar complaints were made to the town building department. The DEC declared the complaints totally without merit. There were no violations. The town building department also cleared me of any wrongdoing. I'm bringing this to the town board's attention because the board may also receive complaints from complainants who want to remain anonymous. I want you to know that a complainant cannot remain anonymous under the law. That's why I know one of the complaints to the DEC, the plant manager at Peckham Quarry. And another complaint was by Jim Albrecht, who lives opposite my property on Place Road. Councilwoman Mary Albrecht should advise her husband Jim Albrecht to stop harassing me because it makes her look complicit. This really needs to end. Thank you for your time.
Kathy Kruger, Rouse Road. By the way, Traver Road's a nightmare too. Somebody should go down Traver Road and look at the road. The skid marks on that road prove that people are not going 55 miles an hour. I want to piggyback old business and new business. And again, where's the talk about the food pantry? We have people that need to eat in this town. There are people that are in trouble financially. I went over to the little church over here. These people over at this church are lovely. They would love to speak to the food pantry and do something. They told me that they put a bid on this building when Mark Bigelozzi was ready to sell it before we were supposed to move into the future town hall. What the hell's going on with the future town hall so that we can get something going so that we can get a food pantry over there? I mean, I think this should be a discussion every single workshop, every single board meeting. There are people in this town that need you, and you're not doing anything. We don't hear anything. Why isn't it on the agenda? Why? Do I get an answer?
I had requested it to be on the agenda last meeting, and I don't know why it's not on the agenda today.
And I'm sorry, I feel bad for Mrs. Straley here. I know exactly how she feels. When I was trying to get the truth from that man there about what he did to me at the transfer station, and that man there, I got a misunderstanding. What I heard from town hall when I called to find out how I get to talk to him, I was told he doesn't talk to residents. That's what I was told by the clerks in our town hall. So why do these poor people have to go through him is what I would like to know, when I was specifically told he does not talk to residents. Is that a misunderstanding? I just want to know. Do we have a misunderstanding here?
In regards to what, Kathy?
Does he return calls or not? Does he talk to residents or not?
Do you talk to him?
Do you?
I am the attorney to the town and to the town board. I do not give legal advice to residents of the town that call my office. I don't remember, or I don't think I got any phone calls from Ms. Straley or Mr. Straley that I'm aware of.
Again, I believe that's another lawyer comment that I'm aware of. Yeah. A lie.
If you don't talk to the residents, why is he asking me, did I call you? Did you call the lawyer?
I think I with litigation, the town, you've made it clear that you've hired an attorney to pursue legal action.
That was after the fact. The oils were turned in months and months
the
ago.
town has the right to have that reviewed by their attorney. It's not unusual.
I didn't tell you I was suing anybody.
That's a cop-out. That's a cop-out. I asked, where are my FOIL requests? That was my question to him. I didn't ask him anything else. Anything else. Nothing else. And he told me, did I call you for them? The president, so I guess that's why I never got a phone call back.
Good evening. Before we get started, everybody hear me? Yes? I'm pretty loud without the mic. I just, want to make sure you can hear me through this.
You can take it off.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. As far as, I actually had another quick question before we get started. Number 11, the ad hoc committee, was that in regards to the discussion over the Black Lives Matter thing that happened? Do you intend to be on that committee, Mr. Delvecchio?
The ad hoc committee?
Yes.
Can't remember if I said I was going to, but I believe I am.
Okay. All right. Well, I never thought that I would be here speaking as a member of this community. And based on some of the faces I'm seeing in here.
Well, let's start with your name.
My name is Matt, and I think you know
Matt.
exactly who I am.
And where do you live?
I'm not going to tell you that, and that's pretty
Well, you have to.
I live in Pleasant Valley.
Okay.
Okay. You and I have had several discussions over the years, Mr. Delvecchio, where you have said some rather racist, misogynistic, homophobic things. But, yeah. Okay. And I'd like to discuss them with you and how you think that you should be part of this community here, where you represent the people of this community, that you have openly disparaged, both to me publicly and in private conversations. Can we have that conversation right now? Or?
This is not the forum for that conversation.
Where is the forum for that conversation?
You want to meet me outside? We would certainly talk about it.
Why would I want to meet you outside?
To discuss something that really has nothing to do
I
with
think
town
every
business.
member in this room of this community might want to know about your racist, misogynistic.
My
and homophobic-
racist, misogynistic.
Absolutely. We can go back and we can read our personal transcripts back and forth if you'd like.
So
We
this
can
is
do
an
like a
election
round.
year, and I'm sure you've been put up by somebody to come up here and do this. So
Do you not remember what you said to me after my 6 spine surgery?
I am
Spineless?
sure.
Remember when I told you that this would come back to haunt you and
It's
you
not haunting me.
welcomed it? Including myself. But you've said some pretty shitty things to me, pardon my French. And I'm just wondering if you still hold that hate towards me and the rest of members of this community in your heart. Yes or no?
like I said, this is not the forum for this
So
conversation.
you can't answer whether or not you're a racist.
So this is not the forum for this conversation.
Where is the forum to discuss your racism?
I told you we could have a conversation privately.
What is the difference
anytime you
between
want.
outside and inside?
There you go.
That's the difference. I'll see you outside, I guess. Anybody who would like to be involved in that conversation? Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak?
Took the words out of my mouth. You took the words right
out of my mouth. You guys have a habit of walking into each other.
Scott Cookingham, 50 Fox Run. The other day, I was here when we had the last flood, and the water was right up to the, parking and stuff. I happened to go down to Green Olives to get, something to eat before I went to school, and noticed that, there were people after all that rain. I didn't see anything wet. I didn't see anything moldy. So I'm just curious, we keep pushing back and forth. I know I nicely asked the lawyer about whether we had, an idea of what the building was worth and stuff like that. If we haven't gotten any bids on it, and we have $800,000 in a bond to be able to use towards it, I just don't understand why we keep playing so close with, more hurricanes possibly coming. Okay, Tennessee got wiped out, every time you turn on, the channel, some, other state. And this town can't afford for this place to get flooded again. Okay, I just don't understand why we don't try to do that. Also, Mrs. Campbell brought up, new teaming, okay? And, every time things get brought up, okay, it's really, heart-wrenching coming up here month after month, and, we speak and we hear nothing, which I understand that's your right. And, Mr. Szynski said it's only so, we speak and we don't have that confrontation, which is fine. But with that said, it'd be nice that we start getting progression on something. Okay, every time I come here, nothing's gotten forward, and even going back to the bathrooms at Helen Aldridge, we approved $372,000, I believe it was. I wouldn't tell you the other day, there's no machines, there's no nothing. There's no bids put out yet.
That has been worked on. That is being worked on very
So the bids-
extensively. Just stop, okay?
Okay.
All right. First of all, I preface this by saying that I said to you, I didn't know they were separate lots. Okay? So that's number one. I found that out from the CPL and the Board of Health. So we are trying to get that taken care of, which is already in progress. Everything has been sent to the Board of Health for this project, and Greg is on top of the whole situation.
Same CPL that's come up here time after time after time, coming up with different ideas and amounts and prices that was going to be, just figured out that it
Okay,
wasn't on
there
the
are
same price.
engineers, they can handle this.
No,
They
I
really
understand
do
that.
know what they're
I
doing.
understand what an engineer costs. That's
So the
other
Board
thing.
of Health won't approve the well until the lots are conjoined.
Right.
Right, which we did not know.
Which
That we
I
did not know.
understand,
Mhm.
but
So we're dealing with
just
that.
so you know, I've dealt with engineers on my spot in West
I
Road.
understand.
That costs more money. That's all I'm saying. I agree. You don't know. Pleasant auto sales property because they didn't know where the damn line was back in the day. And then after we built it, we had to go, oh, shoot, we don't own the property, so Point Auto Sales, can we buy a little off of you? Okay, it's not the first time that's happened in this town.
I'm sure.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. It just costs money, and that's all.
Dan McRitchie, Pleasant Valley Agency. I did have one question regarding 911 in town. I have an issue with my plaza, Acme Plaza. I've tried to contact 911 numerous times regarding the numbering. I've got 3 different utility bills there with 3 different addresses on them. Councilman Mazzella had a fire in his print shop, and know where to go because it's not correct. So I was told by the fire department to contact Dutchess County 911. No one gets back to me. So if someone could please look into that for me.
Yeah, I'll take
Appreciate
a
it.
look. Yeah.
I mean, a fire, yes, it's pretty easy to see smoke, but if someone is in distress, where do you know?
Yeah, I always thought it was confusing when I used to be in 15, and then I was told it was 13, and now I'm at 17. I agree with you. I'll look into it, Dan.
I also want to address the ad hoc committee for the incident last year. I'm happy it's being done, but it's almost a year and a half later, and I think we have a serious problem with racism in this town, as we saw last year. I mean, I believe everyone will agree that the angry mob that approached peaceful protesters was ridiculous. I had a former friend now who was involved in it, who spit in a young woman's face, a young mother's face, and called her 10-year-old daughter the N-word. What bizarre world do we live in right now? This is disgusting. I grew up in this town, and it shouldn't happen. It's absolutely disgusting. So that ad hoc committee needs to be formed, and something needs to be done immediately. Regarding the sign that was put up that I saw against Mr. Mazzella, that's also disgusting. It's dirty politics. People say they don't know who did it. I'm pretty sure you know who did it. It needs to stop. This town should not be Republican or Democrat. We're a small town, work together, and get things done. That's the way it's always been. It's constant fighting up here, and it's also disgusting and gets nothing done. I also saw Councilman Del Vecchio accusing Councilman Mazzella of lying on his ethics complaint today on Facebook. Did you not post that on Facebook?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So,
Because, and I'm going to tell you why, because
Why?
it still brings us back to the point that I have not been given any information whatsoever, and I've been denied time and time again, yet someone else gets the information. I don't think it's fair, and we've addressed it now with the attorney, and I still don't think it's fair.
Okay,
I
so if
don't
you're
know
gonna-
why one person gets information and the other one does not.
So if you're
And
gonna
then
call-
when the other person gets the information, they immediately run to the press. So,
if you're going to call someone a liar, you're stating that you didn't give information to a town resident out of executive session.
I never got any information, but my...
No,
the
I'm
person
asking you to call him a liar about his ethics complaint. You are stating that you didn't give a town resident information outside of executive session that caused all these
That's
workplace...
not the question.
That was the question.
The question I'm talking about here is the Ethics Committee, okay, has formed a conclusion. The first one, they found that I was not, and I was cleared of any kind of charges, ethics. They found it unfounded. End of story. I don't get that information. I never got it. I had to beg for it after the fact that it came out in a newspaper. It should not happen that way, okay?
I'm just wondering if you would like to retract the statement to Mr. Mazzella that he's a
No, I
liar.
did not, because I still believe at that time he was fully aware, and he went to the press knowing full well that I was cleared of those charges.
Okay, so you did not give information to a town resident outside of executive session.
That is not the question you asked. So I answered it.
I
and I'm not
asked
allowed
it
to
3
speak on that.
times. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Greg Straley, Pleasant Valley. And to the town lawyer, those foils were put in months before I contacted an attorney. So, with the 20-day timeline on the foils, where are they?
The planning department is putting together the information that was requested, and as soon as I have it, I will provide it to you.
That's not the law. The law is 20 days.
So your original FOIL request was for a document, and that does not exist. And I informed you that that document does not exist. I informed you that there is a minutes and records which do exist. You have asked for those, and I will produce those for you.
And the other foils, though, we got about...
They asked for the same information. The only other FOIL that was relevant, I provided you with a copy of the DEC permit, which speaks to hours of operation. I provided that to you. So I think that all of these
and we're not enforcing the zoning on the Corey. Sarah Davis is the zoning administrator, and everybody says she's the best. If she reads the special use permit, she needs to write them a fine 3 times, because that's the law. If you guys wanted me to tell you the law, they need to be summoned 3 times. It's like $250. After the 3rd time, Peckham is pulled into court to get it resolved. The hours are 7 to 3:30 at 410 North Avenue, and that's what I want enforced. And you know now that I hired an attorney, because everybody up on the board thought Mr. Straley was blowing smoke. I'm not blowing smoke no more. It's done. I'm over, and that's why I hired the attorney. You got the letter back on like the 31st, and did you guys even have a meeting on it yet? So you know how much money it's going to cost the town in a lawsuit because they got this back on like the 31st, and they have until the 20th to answer my attorney, and they haven't even talked about it. What's today, the 14th? Holy cow. Do you understand how much money they're going to cost the town and the residents? And how much it costs for the lawyer to answer us because the town has to pay him? Unbelievable. What a joke. What a joke.
Anyone
anybody
else?
else like to speak?
Hearing none, I make a motion that we close public comment at this time.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Executive session? Yeah. Make a motion, we go into executive session for 105.1D. Need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just give me 3 minutes very much.
I was going to go pack in my back brace first. I'm hurting.
Oh, yes.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. Yeah. Yeah,
I can never get this fucking.
Town, by petition, DOT. They will do.
They will. Yeah,
That's right. But sometimes when
These roads are extremely